Drift trikes. These things are a right laugh. Now, this is my electric version. I've also got a petrol version. They both do about 60 miles an hour and they're kind of simple to build. But I've got a challenge for myself today. Now, a while back I made a motorised go-kart without using a welder. And I want to make one of these, but not just without using a welder, but with using the most basic toolkit I can use possible. So, with that in mind, rising to the challenge, you two are off bounds, I tell ya. Right, I think that's got everything. Engine, wheels, drift sleeves, axles, carriers, chain sprockets, bits of metal, bearings, and of course, a BMX. Right, first thing we need to do is chop the bike up. Now, we don't actually need much of the BMX, we just need the handlebars, forks, and the front wheel, and the down tube. So we can cut the chain stays off here, we can cut the seat tube off, and we can cut the top tube off on the angle just there.
I'm staring at my phone, thoughts running away, was it all just talk? Then I think about your mind.
Right, that's that sorted. Cleaned it all up. Now then, if you if you've got forks that have got V-brake mounts on them, just a little tip before we get too far: drill a tiny little 2.5mm hole just underneath the headset on the angle, and then we can run the brake cable for the front brake cable down there and out. You don't have to do it; it's just a bit neater. Okay, so we want to support this off the ground. So I've got some bits of 2-inch wood. 50 by 25mm by 3mm thick wall box section. This is about 50 centimetres long at the moment. And I know this is going to be good because I've bolted the exhaust pipe on the engine. And then I've just offered it up. And as you can see, we've got plenty of spare sticking out here. And that all looks quite good. Right, Furs, how are you going to connect that to that without using a welder? Wow. Get a hole saw, same diameter as the bottom bracket, and then we're going to drill into the side wall of the box section and then use the top and bottom bits to kind of lift up and make like flaps that we can drill through and attach to the bottom bracket. So we need to clamp a bit of wood up against the side of that because we're going to be drilling off centre, and obviously the pilot drill is not going to have anything to go.
Stay settled down, 'cause I know that this ain't the end of the line.
Pretty good. Very nice, Colin. Right, rear axle mounting. Right, we need to find the centre line of the axle. So what I've done, I've cut a bit of chain down. It's quite short, it doesn't have to be long. And then I've got the smallest sprocket I could get, because nearly a 1-to-1 gear ratio on these things is fine. Put that there, measure the centre of the wheel, about 14 centimetres, and then get the centre of this to the same height. Now that is our axle centre line. But there, make a little mark. Hello, my name's Colin. I'm building a drift trike without using a welder. Right, the rear axle is a 25mm go-kart axle, but the main thing is it's keyed all the way along its length, and that's important because we need the keyway a bit further down for the sprocket carrier. So essentially we're going to stick that there, and then we're going to make like a little square at the back here, which the bearings can bolt onto, and then the seat can fix down to, and then we need to somehow, I'm going to try and get a bit of extra strength across the top of the engine here, because although my little bolty thing down there is quite good, not sure as I want to put all my trust in it. So, get another 25 by 50mm box, that'll be fixed onto there, we'll do that in a bit, and then we're going to get a bit of 50 by 50 by 3mm angle iron, and that's going to run across the top, and then there's going to be another bit of angle iron, which is going to come down the side, which the bearings are going to bolt into, and then hold the axle in position. I'm just going to do this because there's no point explaining it. It's essentially going to be a lot of cutting, folding and bolting. But they are. That's life without a welder, Colin. Yeah.
night. She talks and I drive to...
Oh yes, made a lovely job of that. Nice and strong. So then, measurements, 35 centimetres or 21 centimetres. And then the actual bending and bolting technique's pretty simple. I got it in the end. Get your box section. You need to curve the edges off on two sides, because the angle iron has like a little radius on the inside, and then when you put it up against it, if you don't do that, it won't sit right into it. And then you get the angle iron. You basically put like a little 3 centimetre square on the end. You can see the measurements up on screen. And then when you put that up against your box section, you basically bolt one bolt through that bit, bend and flap it over, and then stick another bolt through. Essentially, on every joint, we want to try and get 2 bolts. If you have 1 bolt, it can just wiggle itself loose, no good. If you've got 2 bolts in, it locks it up nice and tight. Now then, before we fix this to our frame, we need to drill the holes for the axle and the bearings to attach to.
I am smoking your component. She always tries to take my kindness for granted.
Right, we slot that in there like that. Bolt it up. Now the centre of my axle off the bottom of my chassis is 92mm, and then I've done the holes, like the centre of the holes, 20mm in from the edge. Right, let's bolt this to that. Right, that's got that mounted on there. Now basically I just cut 200mm 10cm square bits of 3mm plate out, drilled some holes in, chamfered the corners off to make it look neat, and bolted it on. Now before we go whacking all the axle in and all the wheels and stuff, we need to do the sprocket. Now this is not actually a bike sprocket, this is a 1/2" pitch flat plate wheel. Now basically this is another hub carrier which normally holds the wheels, so we need to make this fit on there. But we shall not be using the lathe now, y'all. That didn't turn out too bad. Right, let's put this on the axle, put the axle in, and then we can put the chain on, and then we'll know where to put the engine mounts. Oh yeah, that's good. That feels pretty strong. Right, now if you notice I cut the axle down, basically the distance between the outside of the wheel is about 110 centimetres. Now on the proper axles, on the end there's a circlip which kind of stops the hub from flying off. Of course you're going to cut the other end off, so you're going to lose that. So just drill and tap, put a big washer on, and that will do the same job. Right, let's get this engine mounted now. Now our first and main engine mount point is these 4 bolts underneath here. And basically I've just got a bit of plate, drilled some holes in it, put it along there. And then on the centre line of the engine here, I've obviously drilled a line and drilled another 2 bolts. And then luckily enough, because these are kind of raised, we can have a bolt head behind there and it still be fine. So then we can then bolt that through our frame, and then that will hold the engine on at the bottom. So let's bolt this on here, and then we can mark it up where it needs to go. Oh, he smacked the This is where you set the chain tension. So
I'm going nowhere.
now then, this is pretty strong, and I must admit I am quite surprised as how rigid it is. But as it is bolted together, bolts notoriously can come loose. So we could do with something which goes from this point of the frame and connects onto the top tube there to stiffen it all up and give ourselves another engine mount. So how are you going to do that then, Colin?
So go ahead, scream loudly. I thought that at first we got along and 1, 2, 3, 4. I know when you call my name, you think that you're in a club. Now you've been running through my brain. I think that it all comes down to when we first made out. It was love, but there's no doubt.
Right, that's got that all fixed up. It stiffened it up quite a bit because it was a little bit laterally floppy. Now then, next job, exhaust. Now on my welded version, I stuck the exhaust up here, and it meant you had to cut it down and kind of twist it quite heavily to get it to stick up there nicely. But we're trying to keep things simple here, so we're going to go with where it pretty much already is. We've just got to bend it down a little bit just to get it to stick out nice and straight. You don't have to do that, but you know, I'm a neat person. I like things to be neat. So we will do that, and then the seat will just have to sit a little bit higher this time. Might get a bit warm. We'll see. We'll see. Righty then, Mr. Exhausty Pipey Rooney, and then it's just electrics, fuel tank.
Oh, I don't
Testing
like this
time.
anymore. I've tried my very best to stick around, but now it's never like before. And oh, you never hold my hand.
Oh, you booty! It's so straight. It's so straight. It's really straight.
Are you ready? Do you wanna know if I'm the one to be your one and only honesty? So, are you ready? You wanna know that I'm not what you need. I'm better off without you. So, I feel it twisted in my sides. I've realized you're only coming by just to keep on wasting time. And oh, I'll bet you'll never see how I'm always trying to be the girl who can give you what you need. So, are you ready? Do you wanna know if I'm the one to be your one and only honesty? So, are you ready? You wanna know that I'm not what you need. I'm better off without you here. So.
Oh, yes! Righty-ho, we're about there. Fuel tank, electrics, carbs mounted. Now, with the electrics, they're really simple. The wires are all colour coordinated, so you just clip it all together and stick it all on. And basically, all you're trying to do is just keep it away from the exhaust pipe and not get wrapped up in the chain. Now, the battery, it's going to be a LiPo battery that you just push in, start it, and then take out again. You could leave it in, but they don't really charge up properly from here because they need balance charging. The seat, now I did two methods for mounting the seat. I used a connector nut on one side, and on the other side I just used a bolt that went straight up with a nut on the top. You just have to grind it down so it's a little bit more comfortable. And there we are. Right, so pull it to bits, paint it, and then when I've done that, it'll look like this. But does it work? is brilliant. This is a perfect first project, college project. The amount of people that email me saying, Colin, I want to get into what you're doing. What do I make? Make this. And with the world, most of us at the moment being in lockdown, this is a perfect project to try and, you know, take away some of the boredom if you can still get hold of parts and whatnot. Now, I cannot believe how few of tools it's actually taken me to make this thing. I bet most people have nearly all of those in their garage already, bar the hole saws maybe, and maybe that clamp. But other than that, you've probably all got there already. Now, in terms of cost, the engine is about 200 or 300 quid, brand new, and the rear axle is probably about 150 quid with the hubs and all the carriers and the axle and whatnot. You don't need brand new tyres, obviously. You can get them part worns from a go-kart track. And the rest of it, the steel, the BMX bits and bobs, you can get these from the scrapyard. All the bits of steel are super small, so you can probably get offcuts. Now, I'm going to stick like a list on my website so you can see roughly exactly what you need. So you can kind of get, you know, tick off bits and bobs. And there we are. Now, if you want me to try and build something else using basic tools, you know, another project, stick your requests in the comments and I'll have a look, because I'm really pleased with this. I've enjoyed it. I think I've done well. This is the perfect lockdown project, or if you just want to get into making stuff. Also, I have to put in a sneaky picture on my social media accounts. A lot of people are asking about the stickers I've got on this thing. So, I have made available a Colin Firth sticker sheet, now available at the Colin Firth shop, as well as safety ties, t-shirts, merch, you name it, mugs, it's all there. Right, subscribe. See you in the next one. I don't know what that is. Yeah.